So we're going to take a look at the quiz that you took on Friday, and we have a circle graph. So the first thing that we want to look at is we want to look at the fact that Michaela surveyed the first 200 customers. So we know that this entire graph right here represents 200 people. It also represents 100%. So we're going to start by figuring out how many people chose vanilla ice cream. So we know that percent is always out of 100, so we put 35 over 100. And we want to know how many people out of 200 liked vanilla ice cream. So when we cross multiply and then divide by 100, we figure out that there were 70 people that liked vanilla ice cream. So I'm going to come over to my table and I'm going to write 70 here. Then I'm going to go to chocolate chip and I'm going to repeat the process. So percent goes over 100, and I need to figure out how many people that is out of 200 customers. Well, another thing that I notice is not only when I solve proportions can I cross multiply and divide, but sometimes I can scale up or down. So I notice that 100 times 2 is 200. So I'm going to repeat that in the numerator. So 18 times 2 gives me 36. So I know that chocolate chip, 36 people preferred. So here I'm going to go to cookies and cream. Percent goes over 100, and I need to know how many people out of 200 liked cookies and cream. So I'm going to scale up one more time by multiplying by 2 and multiplying by 2. So I know that 12 times 2 is 24. So 24 people prefer cookies and cream. So I'm going to put 24 here in my table. And then I'm going to try to figure out these percentages here. Well, I know from my table that the people that preferred strawberry ice cream was 18. So I don't know my percent, so I'm going to put it over 100. But I know that there were 18 people out of 200 that preferred strawberry. So you can either cross multiply and divide by 200, or we can scale down here. So this time, if I divide 200 by 2, I get 100. So 18 divided by 2 gives me 9. So I know that 9% of my people chose strawberry ice cream. So I'm going to go to chocolate next. And once again, I don't know my percent, so I put X over 100. But I know that there are 34 people out of 200 that prefer chocolate. So I'm going to scale down once more by dividing by 2 and dividing by 2 in the numerator. So 34 divided by 2 gives me 17. Now to find other, I have two options. I can add all my percents together and I can subtract from 100, or I can look at my table and set up another proportion. So X over 100 and 18 people out of 200. Well, I just did that exact same proportion here, so I know that other must be the same as strawberry. So 9% of my people chose other. So I'm going to look down here at my questions now. A says, how many more people preferred vanilla ice cream over chocolate ice cream? The easiest thing for me to do is to look at my table, and I know that 70 people preferred vanilla ice cream. And then for chocolate, I know that 34 people chose chocolate. So when I subtract those two, I get 36. So I know that 36 more people preferred vanilla. So letter B says, what fraction of the people surveyed chose either cookies and cream or chocolate chip ice cream? Well, I know that cookies and cream, 24 people chose cookies and cream, and 36 people chose chocolate chip. So when I add those together, I get 60. Well, 60 is not my answer because it asks for a fraction, but I know that 60 people out of a total of 200 prefer cookies and cream or chocolate chip. I don't want to leave my answer like that. I want to make sure that I reduce. So I'm going to begin by reducing by 10. For most of you, that's probably going to be the first number that pops into your head. So 60 divided by 10 is 6, and 200 divided by 10 is 20. But I notice that I'm still not simplified all the way. So this time I'm going to divide by 2. And I get a fraction of 3/10. So letter C, if Michaela were ordering ice cream for 1,000 people, how many servings of vanilla ice cream should she order if each person receives one serving? Well, I know from my table that 70 out of 200 people preferred vanilla ice cream. Well, this time I want to know how many people out of 1,000 would prefer vanilla ice cream. So I can cross multiply and divide by 200, or I can scale up by multiplying by 5. 200 times 5 is 1,000. So 70 times 5 gives me 350. So part D asks you to use the true or false cards to determine which cards belong in the table. So I've got the true-false statements here, and we're just going to go through each one and determine which one's true and which one's false. The number of people who prefer chocolate ice cream, so I'm going to look at the number of people who prefer chocolate ice cream, which is 34, is half the number of people who preferred vanilla ice cream. Well, vanilla ice cream is 70. So what I need to figure out is 34 half of 70? So when I take 70 and I divide it by 2, I get 35. So I know that this statement right here is false. So I would have put the number 1 inside of the false box because my first statement was false. So looking at statement number 2, it says the number of people who prefer chocolate chip ice cream is 50% greater than the number of people who prefer cookies and cream. So I'm going to look at the cookies and cream, and I'm going to say there are 24 people out of 200 Actually, let's do this problem a little bit differently. Let's start with the percent. Percent is over 100. And I actually want to know what 50% of the cookies and cream is. So I'm going to put x over 24. And when I cross multiply and divide, I get an x value of 12. So my chocolate chip ice cream likers should be 12 more than the people that preferred cookies and cream. So when I add 24 and 12 together, I get 36. And if I look at those that prefer chocolate chip ice cream, I see that there are 36 people. So that one is a true statement. So I would put the number 2 inside of my true box here. Let's look at the third statement. The number of people who prefer vanilla ice cream, we know that that's 70, is almost 4 times as many as those who prefer strawberry ice cream. So strawberry ice cream is 18. So I'm going to take 18 and I'm going to multiply that by 4 because this number right here for vanilla should be almost 4 times the number 18 if this is a true statement. So I'm going to do my multiplication here. And I see that these two numbers right here are very close, and because it says the word almost, that means that this right here is a true statement. So I would have put the number 3 right here in this true box. And if we did all of our math correctly, that means our fourth statement should be false, but let's just double check. So the number of people who prefer strawberry or cookies and cream makes up 1/4 of the people surveyed. So strawberry, I can tell from my table right here, is 18. And my cookies and cream is 24. So when I add those two numbers together, I get 42. And I need to determine whether that number 42 is a fourth of all the people surveyed. So I need to figure out what 1/4 of 200 is. And I can set up a proportion here as well. So when I cross multiply and then I divide, 200 divided by 4 gives me 50, and I see that those two are not the same numbers, so I know that the number 4 goes here in my false box.